list.
Your timeout. Thanks for taking time out from your day to in this presentation. It'll be a short training session on the use of sweepmasters, which is an online system for qualifying and submitting your test data. Now, only one SP there has actually received information on logins. So all you other guys, don't worry, we have your companies in. I was waiting until we get done with this training session before I actually activate your administrator user account. And then you'll get an email notification of that. The one selected administrator will have access, they'll log on, and then they'll be able to go and create the other user accounts for the people in your company. Anyway, getting to Sweepmasters is really easy on the internet. It's sweepmasters.com. When you type that into your browser, you'll be brought to this page. This is where you log in. You see we get a little highlighter here. Ooh, that's kind of cool. You'll put in your username and your password that's been assigned to you. Your username is always your email address. And please, if at all possible, use your own user account because we market the database who does what, when, where, and how. So I'm going to go ahead and log in using my account here. This is Ericsson CM level access. And I'm going to point out there are a couple differences between the CM level and the SP level access. And just a couple, and I'm going to point them out as we go inside. So once you log in, you're going to encounter this page. This is our core display panel. In the core display panel, SPs, you will see a listing of sites here, and it will, everything will just scroll down. Any sites that have been assigned to you will show up there. CMs, you have to actually search for sites because there are so many. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the site that we've set up for this training. Notice how the rest of the, when I start typing it in, the rest of the site number comes in, or the site name, and we click search. Now it comes up here, and you just click on the link, and it will take you to the site profile. And the site profile has a number of different displays here. You have your geographic data, you have your carrier and SP data, you have document uploads, and the bulk upload for your RF line suites. You can also notify SPs. You click here when you want to notify a CM that you're done submitting your data. And then you can output either a zip or a PDF, whichever is required of the traces, and the rest of the turnover is done here. Before we go and upload some traces, I'm going to hand this over to Trent and bring up the naming legend so he can explain to you how traces are named, because they do have to be named a certain way to go into Sweepmasters. By doing this, it ensures that the system knows exactly what the trace is and then does the appropriate markups to it. Title, subtitle, limit lines, markers, all according to specifications that we have in our database. It also, on certain traces, does pass-fail analysis. If you are able to upload your traces right away on site, it will give you a heads up on any potential difficulties or issues you might have, and you can correct them. Then it's a simple matter of deleting the bad traces, resweeping, and then re-uploading, and then notifying your CM. So Trent, why don't you go ahead and explain the legend to everybody?
Okay, this is Trent Meilinger, CEO of Sweepmasters. Okay, actually, you guys that are doing the testing, you already know the legend, because the legend is everything that you need to know to perform a sweep test in the first place. And so, as you can see, you're going to pick your sector, your antenna position or beam position. Beam position is what Verizon is actually calling it. You have your line or port number. You're going to have your frequency. You're going to have your technology, and then you're going to have a list of test types. And so when you're testing, and when I tested, I always started out with a DTF load because that's the one that let me know if my connectors and everything were good before I continued on with my testing. So you do your DTF load. If you like it, you hit save. And then that's when you finish setting up. A pop-up window is going to come up on your test equipment, and then that's where you're going to save this naming convention, which is part of your setup to do the equipment setup to do the test. And so what you're going to do is you're going to, you're on whatever sector is, alpha, say you're in antenna position number 2, you're on port number 3, you're going to put a 0 for, say, 700, L for LTE, and then distance to fault load, you're going to put a 0.5, you're going to hit save. That pop-up window now goes away. Now you're ready to do your return loss load. If you're going to do that, if you like it, you're going to hit save. And then when you hit save, what's going to happen is that previous name that you just put under your test equipment is going to pop up. So now all you got to do is change the very last digit from a 5 to a 6 and hit enter, and now you're ready to do your return loss short. So every time essentially every time you change a digit, what you're actually doing is you're renaming the title, the subtitle, you're setting all the limit lines and markers according to the specifications of the operator. And that's it, and that's in a nutshell. It's a very straightforward. And once you get done, once you do this on a couple sites, you're not even most likely to need the legend anymore, because, like I said, this is information that you already know. So that's it as far as legend.
Also, along with the legend, we provide a key of all the possible naming configurations that you can refer to. If you have any questions on the legend, you can always refer to the key, especially if you get a trace that's shot back and saying that the file name that you've tried does not exist in the database. Anything that is in this legend is in the database. And we have tabs along the bottom that show you what the key values are. So let's go ahead and upload some traces. To upload traces, once you've named them, here's some traces here that have been named. These are L700 sweeps that were given to us, and we've named them according to the naming convention. You go and click on bulk upload, do post, and you come up to a little interface. You click on add files, and then you navigate to where your traces are through the dialog. We're already set here you see we're on the desktop, and then our traces folder, and then some traces here. So let's go ahead and add all these traces. Click open, and it's going to dump them into the interface. Now you notice the file sizes are very small, 36 kilobytes, so this can be easily facilitated out in the field. Once you have your traces in, you can add more traces also if you want to do more. You can do a couple, 300 at a time if you need to. You click on upload. Now this is where you go and get yourself a cup of coffee, or tea, or beer. Hopefully not beer, you're working. And you just wait for a couple minutes, no more than that. You notice that it's saying it's uploaded 48 files. That's how many I put in. Now, Sweepmasters is going and analyzing and marking up and saving each one of these traces. When this is done, the screen provides what's called an upload success report. This upload success report will tell you whether the traces went in or not, and it'll even tell you on the pass-fail traces whether they passed or not. This doesn't replace looking at the traces themselves, but it does give you a heads up of what's in the system. And here we go. Now we just processed 48 traces automatically And as we scroll down, we notice we have some passes. We also have some fails. It tells you which ones fail. Now you're going to want to take a look at those. Okay, and by doing so, you go to View Traces here at the top. Click on View Traces, and you come up with an interface. By clicking on the actual trace, it will come up in your screen. You want to notice here the colors. I have a white background for printing out, but you can also select a black background high contrast. But we notice here that marker 6 is at 13.49. It peaks over the limit line of 14, therefore it is a fail. Sweepmasters is numbers. It's not going to consider whether you have a concrete wall or something like that next to your build. That's for the CM or the RF engineer to determine. CMs, you have the ability to override and make this trace into a pass. Say, for instance, this is very close. You say, there's something with some interference there. We're not going to get any better. You do have the ability to go RF override, and you simply click on it. Now this trace is shown as passing. It also shows who did the pass and when. Status was changed just by holding your mouse over the X. So that's also databased. We can go further down, look at traces, make sure everything's good. You can also auto-scale your traces. This is good for return loss short traces, but auto-scale will bring all the vertical parameters within the viewable graph. It'll actually change your decibels on the side. Let's auto-scale all the traces, just so you see what it looks like.
Yeah, another thing I'd like to point out when you look at those graphs that we were given there, it's very important to, when you set up your test equipment to do your testing, that you actually set up your screen so it's working within the direct frequencies and not way beyond, so you don't have all these squiggly lines up at the top, because all it's doing is crunching up the test results that the RF engineer is going to actually be looking at.
Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah, you want to set everything up correctly. It just gives them a better view. Now, if you want to or need to, say for instance you have some fails, right? You have a fail. Let's go and click. This column here with the boxes is the delete column. So let's go ahead and check off the traces that failed, and we want to delete them. So we go back up and we click on delete, and now those failed traces are gone. So you can redo your test, correct whatever the issue is, if you feel that there's one, and then submit. Now we can return to the site profile by clicking at the link at the top, take you right back to that same site profile. Now you notice that under the deliverables panel, post sweeps is highlighted, and that's because we have traces in there. There are a couple things here. First of all, it's given a null status. SPs, you can click on the N, the A, or the R to see notes. CMs, this is where you go to accept or reject the traces. Click on the accept or reject blank. Now you can add some notes and say there were some fails, or whatever you want to write in. Click on reject, click the submit button, and in a second what happens is your interface comes back up with an R. Now we notice that this has been put in, these notes that I just typed in. Now this note also goes to the Sweepmasters administrator for the SP that's assigned to this site. They will get those notes, and this is what makes Sweepmasters a really great central area for communication when it comes to your testing data and your turnover documentation that's required in here. We also have an OTDR, PDF, and PIM zip while we're waiting on certain components from the other manufacturers to put in the system and also automate that like we do with the enriched traces. Until that time, you click on document uploads, and you can upload your OTDR output PDF or the zip that comes out of the Kalis PIM gear. It's a very small file, and it'll go very quickly. You just select the correct item from your drop-down, You browse for it, you find it, and then you upload it. That's all you do. Once your traces have been accepted, let's go back and accept these now. See what the green one looks like. Once these have been accepted by your CM, you can do your output. Let's just do the traces here. Let's do PDF. PDF is also a really great way to look at your traces without having to click on them because it gives you everything in one file. It takes a minute for the PDF to generate. It's doing a screen grab of all of your traces and stacking them on top of each other. And you can go back, while your PDF is being generated, you can go back, excuse me, to your site profile. Also, your project key and the legend are available at the site profile. Your project key and your legend will be the same for all your Verizon sites. Okay, now our PDF is ready.
Steve, a nice thing about the key is, because it does have everything that that we have in the database. If because Ericsson will go from doing when you're working for Ericsson, you can go from building a Verizon site for X amount of weeks, and all of a sudden, you're all of a sudden building a T-Mobile or an AT&T site. Well, if you're not up on the color codes, you can actually refer back to the key itself, and the key will tell you what color that line's supposed to be when you go to putting the colored tape, marking up your coax and jumpers.
Exactly.
Is now a good time to ask a question regarding that?
Yeah.
Sure.
So I tried to assign one of the SPs a Verizon site yesterday, and I was on the phone with them, and they said that the only ones that they could see were Sprint sites. And I tried to add them on the GC management tab, and when I tried to do that, it said that person already has an account.
Oh, no, were you trying to assign an account or a site to a previously existing SP?
Either.
Okay.
I was just trying to make it where they could see that site.
Okay, so we go here to Mass GC site assignment. Now, we take care of that for you when you submit the traces. Okay? There is a way to, there are two ways to assign a site. You can either go to the site itself and go down here to click on Edit Site, which is something that CMs have. By clicking on here, an interface comes up, and you have what's called the core contractor and the phase one contractor. Both of these drop-downs need to be assigned to the same contractor. The reason for all this is because Sweepmasters is built to have multiple phases, everywhere from site acquisition all the way to site completion. But at this point in time, we're being used just for this data. So you would go here and select, let's go AMCAL for both, okay? And then you click Update. Then you go back to you notice that both has AMCAL. Click here to go back to your site number. And now you notice here, AMCAL Communications is there. Okay, for Mass GC site assignment, you select your project. Here it's Verizon. You select your SP, say new cell, and then you check off on the boxes for the sites that you want to assign to them. You can also use Control F to search for sites within this interface. So it's just a typical browser function. Control F for find, and then we'll go down to highlight that site number. You do all or part of a site number. We start at the beginning and go to the end. So if you were to go, say, 10, so use Control F here, and go 107, see, it starts going, and there you got it.
Okay, good enough. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. Was this different from what you had seen before?
That was yesterday was the first time that I had ever logged into the system. I was just kind of
Okay.
poking around.
Right. And you notice here that these sites have already been assigned to GCs/SPs as well as to the CMs. So if you want to make a change on a particular site, you go to your display panel and then you look up the site and then you go to edit site.
Yeah, I figured that out because we had one site that the GC and the CM was incorrect, so I edited that.
Oh, okay.
And then,
great.
but like I said, it went from AmCell to NewCell, and when I called NewCell to see if they could see the site itself, they told me that all they could see was Sprint items.
Well, they'd have to find their site, and there's another way for them to also find their sites as we go to display panel, and there's an expanded search where they can actually go and search. They can put in 6 parameters. So,
okay.
any other questions?
Not for me. That'll work. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. No problem. Well, you can see that it's really super easy to use. Oh, you also have a map here, which is scrollable and zoomable, and you can run directions by clicking here. It takes you to Google Maps, uses the Google API. So we run off the address and the latitude, longitude to help find the site. It's not there in the first place. It's kind of cool the things we have available online these days. Anyway, any other questions? If you have any, please ask.
Hi, this is Blake with NewCell. Sorry, I had to call in on the phone. I don't have a microphone on my computer. But I was the one that talked with Bud yesterday, and I'm currently logged into Sweepmasters, and I still only see Sprint. I don't see anything related to Verizon.
Right, and the reason for that is due to the enormity of these projects, different logins are required for different projects. So if you're doing Sprint work, you need a different login for your Verizon work. Now, there are different ways of doing that, but basically you just need a different email address. So just grab a Gmail or a Yahoo address and use that, and then that's for your login. Unless you're the administrator, you won't have to worry about anything else.
Okay, so if we work, like was mentioned earlier, if we work under Ericsson and we switch between different carriers, we would have to have different logins for each carrier?
Yes.
Okay.
And that came about at first we tried dumping everything all together, and there was a lot of confusion. A lot of people asked for it to be split up and separated. And so we came up with that. Everybody's been fine with it.
Okay.
Anybody else have any questions?
Yeah,
Is there anything else that you'd like to add?
Yeah, at the on your site profile at the very top in the middle, it says site information. Click for note. Okay, what that's for is like if you go to a site where there's special instructions to get onto a rooftop, like getting a key from the security guard or giving them a 24-hour, 48-hour notice, or what have you. If before you go to your project, if you're going on to a co-locator or anything, or no matter what, you might want to just check and make sure that it doesn't require a 48-hour notice or what have you, just so when you get to the site that you're supposed to be working on, there's no surprises there, and all of a sudden that you're not allowed to start the project when everyone's expecting you to start it. So there's just a little bit of helps keep things going forward.
Right, and CNs, you have the ability through edit site to go and add these notes. So if you want to push something out. And then SPs, like Trent said, just go ahead and click on it. Anyone else?
Yeah, this is Dennis with Ericsson. So everything's been populated. We can go ahead and start using Sweepmasters for any of the sites for Verizon.
Everything has been populated in there. After this meeting, I'm going to create the administrator user accounts for the remaining SPs. One person from each SP will receive an email notification of their account at Sweepmasters. Then they can log on and go to Assign New User. And in Assign New User, you add their email address and give them a password. Now, if it comes back and says user is already in the system, then that means that they're already assigned to another project somewhere. So you have to have them give you a different email address.
Or if they're working on, if they're going to be working on Verizon, you know, and they're on a Sprint project, just take them off the Sprint project and stick them onto the Verizon project.
Right. Anyway, that's it. You know, yeah, go ahead, Trent.
I was say, if you need help with that, getting them off of, you know, finding what project they're on or what have you, you know, just contact us and we'll help you get that done.
Right. We're available through normal business hours on West Coast time through contact. There's phone numbers. The absolute best way for questions is to send an email to info@sweepmasters.com, which is also listed in contact. And that's the fastest way because then we can, and then just put in, say for instance, you have an issue with a site and, you know, something's coming up and your traces are getting rejected. Always remember that in your trace view, you can rerun your upload success report. Clicking on it, it will bring your upload success report back. This stacks. So if you put in more traces, they're going to be put on top of this. So it's going to have record of all the upload attempts. But if the trace already exists in the system, you'll get a red line. And that's to help people from confusing their folders and uploading the traces to the wrong site. Well, no system can tell exactly which traces are from where. We can tell if they're already in Sweepmasters. So please read. If you have an issue with rejected traces, refer to your to this form, your upload success report.
Yeah, because the upload success report will, what it will tell you is it will tell you where that trace exists and, you know, what location and when it was uploaded into the system.
Any final questions before we close down this meeting? Well, I guess we're good then. Everyone, I'd like to thank you for your time. If you're looking for your emails, we'll be sending out user accounts here shortly, and you can go ahead and get to work.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.